Simply put, is Rodney Terry the answer in Austin, Texas, as the Texas Longhorns look to make waves moving beyond just this season? It's been a rough first year on the hardwood at the Mood. Is Rodney Terry the guy, or is it time for change for Hook'em? Hello, everyone. I'm Chris Phillips. He is lead basketball analyst here at SEC Unfiltered, Dave Shumate. Appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. Make sure you like, subscribe, turn on notifications. Check us out via podcast where we get your podcast. You can also find us across all social media platforms as well as our website, secunfiltered.com. This segment brought to you by our friends over at FANDUEL. Visit FANDUEL.com/SECU to join today and get started with $150 in bonus bets when you win your first $5 bet. Once again, that's FANDUEL.com/SECU to get $150 in bonus bets today. It's been a very up and down season for the Texas Longhorns as they sit 16-11 overall, 5-9 in conference play. But it's a bigger picture question that we pose today. Is Rodney Terry the answer for Texas basketball moving forward? Year one of SEC play nearly in the books, but is he the answer? Should Texas go a different direction? Let's discuss. Once again, I am Chris Phillips. He is Dave Shumate, lead basketball analyst here at SEC Unfiltered. Dave, really appreciate you taking the time, man. And excited to break this down because Texas is in an interesting spot right now, right? They're on the bubble. They're fighting for their postseason lives, but there's a more pressing matter. And I think that's moving forward off of this season. We knew this was a big year for Rodney Terry. Is he the right answer for Texas, or should they go a different direction? And I think you also have to pair that question up, Dave, with this. What is Texas basketball in the SEC, and what do they want to be? I think that's something they got to look themselves in the mirror and ask some really difficult questions.
No, I mean, you can make the argument people the Texas faithful are more interested right now in the number one ranked team in women's basketball in Texas. I mean, the women's team, Texas, I'm pretty sure they're ranked number one.
Yeah.
I think I heard that earlier.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, you're right. It kind of felt like, and again, at the time, hindsight's always 20/20. After the Chris Beard issue, again, not affected anything he did on the floor. It almost seemed like he's the real easy thing to do. But again, like Rodney Terry did keep the train on the tracks that season. They ultimately went to a 2 seed, lost in the Elite Eight, I think, to Miami, if I remember right. But since then, since going back to last year, losing to Tennessee in the second round of the NCAA tournament, even this year, it's just, I don't know, they do things that bad basketball teams do, CP, when you watch them. There's really no offensive system. There's no really offensive flow. It's the Trey Johnson show. I feel sorry for Trey Johnson at times because there's really no other talent just surrounding him at all. I feel like they brought some mid-major guys up to play at this league, and the best league in college basketball that are really just mid-major guys like Julian Larry. No offense, plays hard, just not a great player. I don't. It doesn't feel like you posed a good question, CP. Is Rodney Terry the guy to lead Texas into this new era of the SEC where you're going to go compete with the teams like Auburn, Alabama, Florida, Kentucky, Tennessee every year, right? And I think Texas has the resources to do that. The Moody Center is a beautiful arena. Like, they built a new arena. They should be putting a better product on the floor. And I think Rodney Terry's a great guy. It's just, I think it's time, if he doesn't end up making the NCAA tournament, even if they don't win a game or two. I mean, I think it's kind of to the point now. It's like, I mean, you talk about it in football, CP. Whenever you think your guy's not the guy, it's probably not the guy. Like, how many times have people in all sports just came off the hot seat and turned it around and rode off into the sunset and left on their own terms? I mean, no, Jim Harbaugh, maybe the only guy I can remember recently. I think you brought that one up. But no, that's kind of where I'm at with Rodney Terry. It's like, you talk to people around Texas, it's like, well, does he just have to make the tournament? And then talk about Zay Collier, who you're buddies with. And he's like, nah, he's got to win like 2 games. Like, 2 games? Like, you might as well just fire him. They're not winning 2 games, and the tournament would be a miracle if they make it. Like, so I think it's inevitable. I mean, you hate saying that about everybody I know knows the guy, says he's a phenomenal human being, but it's just Texas should, I mean, look, Texas Tech's playing really good basketball. Houston's playing really good basketball. A&M's going to be a top 4 seed in the NCAA tournament. Texas is arguably one of the worst teams in the state. Them and SMU. I mean, so no, Texas should be better. I think they can go get someone better. He has not done a good job since that middle of the year takeover. That it was essentially Chris Beard's team.
And Dave, to the point you made that Rodney Terry is a great human being, and I'm sure that he is, but as somebody once told me, that's fine and dandy. If you want to live off of that, then go start a nonprofit. But this is college basketball. This is the SEC where it's competitive. It's about winning games. And simply put, I just don't think he's won enough
If that's the first attribute you say about a coach, CP, it's never good.
It's hard to plant your flag on why he's the right answer, right? And especially, too, I mean, it doesn't help, right? One of the reasons we're having this conversation, I mean, you lose by 15 at South Carolina and give the Gamecocks their first conference win.
No-show performance in a situation you couldn't. I mean, you couldn't lose that game. So they're like, my team wasn't locked in. It's like, well, that's why you have coaching at the beginning of your name.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. I mean, we all agree they were 5-8 in conference play going in that one. When you looked at their schedule down the stretch, you said, hey, that's one they can't lose, and they did. You look at the rest of their schedule, Dave. At Arkansas, we've talked about this from both the Arkansas perspective and the Texas perspective. That's a, hey, you lose, get out of town. You're not making the tournament. More 99%, I'd say, essentially. Georgia at home, at Mississippi State, Oklahoma. Again, you're at 5-9. You probably have to go at least 3-1 down the stretch. I don't know. I don't think 2-2. I mean, they'd have to make a deep run in Nashville to have any shot.
I think they need to go 2-0 this week. I mean, you play two teams that are in the same boat as you, Arkansas and Georgia. Yeah, I think you got to go 2-0 this week.
Yeah, I do too. I think you got to win both games. Here's my question though for you, Dave, and you kind of already answered it. They're on the bubble right now fighting for their postseason lives. But should just making the tournament save his job? I mean, I think that's the big question. Or I wonder, is it one of those things, like you said, like the decision should kind of already be made and maybe behind closed doors, they're already starting the search? Because I would agree with you. Unless Texas is just choosing not to be, and they'd rather just allocate resources elsewhere, which I don't believe because Texas has plenty of resources. There's no reason why Texas should settle for certainly being a bottom third of the conference program. Like when you have the resources they do, there's no reason why Texas cannot be at minimum, Dave, in my opinion, a top half of the league type of team. And you're going to have your bad years. Sure, everybody does. But like, there's just no reason in my mind they should settle for that. And that starts with getting the right head guy. And I don't think Rodney Terry is that guy.
No, I don't think he is either. And it's nothing against him. It's just like you said, I think it's just time at this point. So, no,
like you said, you give him credit for taking over a really tough situation. But at some point, I mean, he was the bridge guy. And that's okay. Everybody plays a different role. He was the bridge guy there after the Beard fiasco.
I mean, think about it, Steve. I mean, Chris Beard, when he got let go for his off-the-court stuff, they were ranked number 2 in the country. And it's kind of been outside of that year where they went to the Elite Eight. That's a great year. From last year to this year, I mean, the trajectory of the program just so.
Yeah, I mean, unless they were to make Dave some run to like the Sweet 16, I don't think you can bring him back. I really don't.
Let's be honest, the admin probably got to be a little bothered. It's like, dang it, we're going to come back next year. It's going to be the same. He got hot for 2 weeks, and we gave him a. I mean, shoot, Hubert Davis at North Carolina got a contract extension today. So, I mean, who knows? But I feel like most, I mean, CP, I mean, you know Texas people too. I feel like most of those Texas people you ask about, they all speak that same language of like, he'd really have to go on some run to get retained, to your point, like a Sweet 16 second weekend.
Well, I think what doesn't help either, Dave, is like when you look at Texas right now on campus, like you mentioned, you're number 1 in the country in women's basketball. You went out and you invested in Jim Schlossnagle. Most would rank him near one of the best coaches in all of college baseball. Steve Sarkisian is considered one of the best coaches in college football, and they just went to the playoff, the semifinal, the Final Four, if you will, for the second year in a row. And then there's Rodney Terry. It's like, which of these does not belong? Which of these does not fit? There's just no reason why you should not also have an elite basketball coach men's basketball coach to go along with it. There's just no excuse.
No, there's not with the success of the programs. I mean, Rick Barnes being there for a while. I mean, even had some time Shaka Smart in them, but I mean, they were a little apathetic at the end of his tenure. But it's weird. CB, isn't it a little weird? It's like these guys that Texas will get rid of or run off. Rick Barnes and Shaka go off and go do kind of like get on their own trajectory. Again, Rick Barnes, most of his career, a lot of it was at Texas. But again, he went to Tennessee and is kept that Tennessee program. I mean, done phenomenal things for them in the regular season. They finish in the top 4 of this league every year. Shaka Smart goes to Marquette. He is Marquette playing really well in the Big East year. Yeah. So it's like you look in the mirror and you're like, is it us? And it's just an unfortunate situation with Chris Beard that was out of anyone's control at the University of Texas. I mean, it's just a Chris Beard thing. Like, so that kind of sucks. I mean, Crystal Conte is kind of sitting there like, dang, we had a time. I mean, I think Chris Beard's a top 10 coach in the sport easily. And imagine if they still had him, and we'd be talking about Texas probably in the top 4 seed, if not higher. I mean, he had them rolling. So it's unfortunate, but you got to get off the mat. You got to go get your ducks in a row. And there's plenty of good basketball coaches out there. Would they be willing to take a run on like a Will Wade, who's won everywhere he's been? I don't know. I mean, interesting personality you have to deal with. Is Chris Del Conte wanting to do that? I don't know. I mean, what he got in trouble with at LSU is now legal. So, I mean, I don't know if that's really going to hinder him. I mean, he was kind of before his time, honestly, the whole NIL pay-for-play stuff. So, I mean, I think Will Wade's a really good basketball coach. He would add some juice, a chip on the shoulder type mentality, like kind of the villain, the heel from a wrestling terminology standpoint to Texas basketball, because whatever people just do not like Will Wade, but he's won everywhere he's been. So that'd be somebody that initially comes to mind. I don't know if they would do that. And I'm sure there's some back channels through agencies. I mean, it's the University of Texas basketball job. You got a phenomenal arena, phenomenal practice facilities. You're in Austin, a cool-ass place. I mean, you can go win. So, I mean, I'm sure there'll be more people that aren't happy in their current situations that'll kind of reach out, see if they can poke the bear and get a call from Chris Del Conte.
And Chris Del Conte, we know, Dave, is as competitive an AD as any. He'll want to go out there and get a big-time guy. There's no question. And I would say this too, Dave, in closing, we don't know all of the details, everything behind closed doors. I'm sure there's some Texas folks tuned in that, maybe it is a bigger issue than just who the head coach is. But again, based off what we know, I know we both agree there's no reason why Texas can't be a top 25 program year in, year out. I mean, you look at the facilities, you just look at who you are. Like, Texas shouldn't accept, I think, being less than that. I think that's a
bubble team. Yeah.
Even with as competitive as the SEC is, I don't think Texas should accept any less than being a top 25 program year in, year out. That's just my take on it. So anyways, guys, do you agree with us? Do you disagree? What are your thoughts? Rodney Terry, his future at Texas, is he the answer, or is it time for Texas to go a different direction after this season comes to an end? Guys, once again, we appreciate you all tuning in. We appreciate our friends as well over at FanDuel, because as always, we're brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. When the game tips off, the NBA action is just beginning on FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, because FanDuel is your home for NBA live betting. So even if you miss the first few minutes of the game, or you want to bet on a fourth quarter comeback, you can make your picks from the first whistle until the final buzzer. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. However you want to play, now is the perfect time to join. New FanDuel customers get started with $150 in bonus bets. If your first $5 bet wins, just visit FanDuel.com/SECU to join today. That's FanDuel.com/SECU for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. Must be 21 and up and present in select states. For Kansas, in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 and up and present in D.C. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut, or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org. Call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. Once again, Rodney Terry, the right answer or time to move on? Y'all let us know what Texas should do. Once again, guys, thank you all so much for tuning in. Make sure you like, subscribe, turn notifications. Check us out via podcast, wherever you get your podcast. You can also find us across all social media platforms, as well as our website, secunfiltered.com. For lead basketball analyst Dave Shumate, I am Chris Phillips. Appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in, and we will catch you on the other side.